we were in the break. You told me you're working on a Stephen Carr piece, and he's an amazing piece to this team because Rick Bozich, asked a question right before me yesterday, and it really opened up my mind. He talked about, he's coming from that vaunted line of being a USC tailback.
Right.
Man, that goes back to O.J. Simpson and the greats. I mean,
Marcus Allen.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I can just see those guys running in those games. And now you're coming to Indiana. He played in the Rose Bowl and stuff, those stadiums. Not that Indiana doesn't, players don't get to do those things, but it's a different Southern California to Bloomington. That's just a difference. But sometimes that's just the difference people need. And I think this may be exactly what Stephen Carr needs.
Right. Exactly. I mean, he obviously he grew up a little bit east of the city in Fontana. And so Fontana is just all big part of that huge Southern California metropolis where it's just highways forever. And it takes you an hour to get across the street sometimes. I mean, it is but it was home, and he had family coming to games all the time, and friends were there, and his high school program is not far away, and it's just basically he obviously goes there with all of the hype that he had, being a 5-star guy, and never really being able to take over the starting job. He made contributions at that program. But I don't think he ever ran for more than like 380 yards in a season, never had more than 81 carries in a season. I think that was his high. There's always going to be talent. USC is always going to be able to get tailbacks to come in, especially from California, and you're all fighting each other. And it was tough. He never really won those battles, had injuries as well. I think there was plantar fasciitis. There might have been a knee, there might have been a quad. He had all kinds of physical issues. It's a tough position. It's running back. That's you're out there to get the crap beat out of you, and he did. So I think it is one of those deals, and he's addressed this a couple times in his interviews. I mean, he loves USC. He still does. I mean, he wore USC shorts to the press conference yesterday, and it's just, he views himself as an alum, but he also sees this opportunity as a chance to really isolate and be away from all that, be away from all the hype, be someplace separate. I think you asked the question about yesterday about is it a different kind of pressure, being, coming in as BMOC, because like you're the guy from USC. It is your job to, you are considered the guy that's supposed to be the tailback. Everybody's going to look at you like you are a 5-star. You're supposed to be the guy. Like you are supposed to fix this, running game that wasn't that great last year. Is there pressure with that? And he said, pressure makes diamonds. You have to expect pressure. That's part of it. But he is able to kind of step away and not have, responsibilities that are not football and school. Obviously he's already got his bachelor's degree. He's going to, pursue a master's in something, and I don't know if it's really important to him to get a master's or anything like that. So he's just going to be taking classes, and, but he gets to focus. He just gets to be on him. He doesn't have to, go check in on, his family and go check in on his friends in LA and everything like that. And be, surrounded by just all of the distraction that is. He is, this feels like, really going away to a boarding school for him. It is a different place. He's never really been away from home. He could always get home to his mom in an hour. Now he's by himself. His mom's going to come to games for sure, and that's that. I'm sure he's excited about that. He loves family. He is a very loyal guy, but this allows him to sort of step away and just focus on him and just focus on what he needs to do. I think he badly wants to be a professional football player, and he knows it requires more than he's proven so far. He's got to have a big year. He's got to produce. He's got to prove to the NFL that, he can be a featured back and he can be a guy that can do everything for you. But he can be a guy that you can rely on and just hand him the football. He does a lot of other things well. He was a guy that's a high school kid. He's going to be a 5-star recruit. I mean, they put him on field goal protection team. And like he is down for that kind of thing, and that's what you can be successful at the next level, is be able to go play special teams on top of your offensive or defensive role. But this gives him a real chance to focus on everything he needs to do to get to the next level, and do it with Dylan McCullough, who is his favorite running back coach so far. So it works out for him in a lot of ways.
and he knows that Delon McCullough knows the path to get there, knows what it takes to be there and stay there. And there's probably nothing more dangerous than a guy who is set in his goals of where he wants to be, of getting to that next level. That's exactly what Indiana needs in that running room. The running game, I've said it many times, it hasn't hurt Indiana's offense, but it just has not helped Indiana's offense. It just not done anything. It's just been there. So by not helping, it kind of has hurt. It hasn't really provided any relief. You have to be more of a throwing team, which with Michael Penix you can be if he's healthy. But man, if you can get some of that balance, that is going to be the difference to me, to making Indiana a team that is compatible with virtually anybody. And I don't want to put them up there with Alabama and Clemson and those guys, but to get up there, we saw what they could do against Ohio State last year. Right. So we know they're competitive, but it's just getting past a few mistakes and being consistent. But that's what it takes. You have to have all phases of the game, right? Running game, everything. So
right. No, absolutely. You got to be, this season is really a reset for everybody. And particularly in the Big Ten, you look at some of the programs they were able to beat last year, they have to expect that the bar is higher. Particularly they beat Penn State by 1. They have to expect a much better Penn State team than they saw a year ago. And if they're going to beat Penn State this year, they have to be able to run the ball against them to some degree. They obviously were able to get by almost entirely on the pass last year in that game. I'm trying to think what they even ran for, but they're going to need to be able to throw the ball against it. They're going to be able to need to run the ball. They're going to be able to have to at least sort of keep some pressure off of Penix, basically, to not just be everybody able to pin their ears back. As Forrest Gray points out on our chat here, it definitely did hurt them in the bowl game, not being able to establish a running game. They were able to put the ball in Stevie's hands in some pass plays to get him out on some screens, as I remember, but they really didn't have much of a running game. So you got to have some balance. You got to be able to trust that to some degree. You don't have to overwhelm everybody with it. You don't have to be a team that runs for 250 a game, but you got to be mid hundreds, at least 150, something like that. I mean, they were averaging 108, and obviously they weren't getting that every time. So they're going to need more of that, more production. And you're just going to have to be able to honor it at the very least, to know that it is something that is a way that Indiana can beat you, is be able to run the football. So that is really key. And again, like they're going to face some teams that are tougher than they faced a year ago. They're going to face a better Penn State team than they saw. They're going to face a better Michigan team than they saw. They're going to face an Iowa team that they didn't play. They're going to face a Cincinnati team that can really get after you. So to win those types of games, let alone beat an Ohio State, just step up and win that kind of game, there's got to be a running game there. They're going to be able to throw the ball against just about everybody. They've got the talent at the receiving on the perimeter. They've got probably going into the season at least the best quarterback in the Big Ten. But you cannot just throw the ball and expect to win games like those consistently.